OK, gentlemen, can you ever remember a more one-sided first half in a Premier League match?
Yes, I can. But let's start with Arsenal first, because not only is this 5 or 6 goals, it's from the first whistle, isn't it? Like, it's just relentless. It's the belief coursing through Arsenal. You see Bukayo Saka steaming down that right side, and within a minute and a half, they've hit the bar, and Jack Robinson has had to clear one off the line. Then there's another chance, and then there's the goal. 5 minutes have gone by, and you know the writing's on the wall here. It just carried on, 2 in quick succession. The 4th goal for Havertz, I think it's Ahmedhodzic, is just throwing Martinelli to the floor, trying to stop him from dribbling past him. Doesn't work, pokes it through to Havertz. It's a nice finish. The own goal, the resigned look on the faces, the no-look assist there from Jakub Kiwior after 15 minutes. I think we knew the night was done at that point. But to answer your question, Rob, I do remember a game like this. Chelsea once beat Aston Villa 8-0 in a game where everything went wrong for Villa. Every shot felt like it was going to go in. Every attack felt like a goal, and every bounce went poorly for the team that was defeated. And I got the same vibe from that game right from the off last night.
Yep, 2012. I think Torres scored after 3 minutes on that day. 7 different scorers, I recall.
And there was six here, right?
Yeah. So there we go. You remember that?
The good old days, Rob.
Yeah. Seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it, Jack? Let's talk about Bukayo Saka taken off at half-time. Gabriel Martinelli limped off in the second half. Mikel Arteta saying they're not serious. But will that be their biggest concern here?
Yeah, I mean, on a night where there were very few concerns, they will be the biggest ones. Saka, I don't know, he's kind of gone under the radar a little bit in the numbers that he's put up. He's got 7 goals and 1 assist in his last 6 Premier League games. And I think maybe it's just because he's so consistent and he plays every game, you kind of just forget how good he is. Yeah. And with the games they've got coming up, obviously the second leg against Porto, where they need to overturn that defeat in the first leg, obviously City coming up in a few weeks as well. They really need Saka and Martinelli fit for those games. One thing I would say is that, again, a lot's made of they kind of haven't got a winger to step in for Saka, but they do have depth. They've got Smith Rowe, Trossard, Vieira, Nelson. They have got players that can step in.
Yeah, they do.
Everyone needs a sort of mid-season break, don't they, Gail? And they do, and it's been a remarkable run for Arsenal since then. You've been looking at some of the stats in more detail.
If ever there was an advert for a sunny winter break, then I think Arsenal are the ones to show just how much of a difference it can make. Think back to just before Christmas, defeats against West Ham and Fulham, people questioning what was going on with the strikers. There was a lacking in confidence. And then there was that loss to Liverpool. Off they went to some sunshine, and since they've come back, it is 31 goals scored and conceded. Even more impressive, perhaps, is the 3 goals conceded. The momentum they've had from those sort of 7 wins has been quite remarkable. It just seemed to have been filled with confidence. You know, Arteta has spoken a lot about trusting his players when they didn't buy a striker. He said, you know, we've got the belief, and whatever he did in that sunshine break has clearly done wonders, hasn't it? I guess the question is just how far that can take them. And the other question is, you mentioned Martinelli and Saka. When Arsenal was struggling, those were the 2 players that maybe had dipped off in form, so they really need those 2 to be fit again quickly and back to where they are.
Yeah, but such is the extravagance of those top 3 at the moment. Is Arsenal going to keep racking up results like this all the way till the end of the season, still not win the league?
Look, at Arsenal right now, first half of the season, it was always, they've got the best defence in the league. All the numbers suggest best defence in the league. But what have they got in attack? Right now, in 2024, they're averaging 4.2 goals per game. They've won 5-0 twice and 6-0 twice, and they've beaten Liverpool 3-1 and beaten them quite handsomely. This is pretty scary stuff. If you're combining this level of defensive ethic and aptitude with now just free scoring Arsenal, honestly, a lot of the time with these title races, it's about not slipping up. It's about being that juggernaut, and it's about being a bit of a flat-track bully. Arsenal not only have the best defence in the league now, but they have that flat-track bully tendency in attack. I'm starting to believe they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, playing devil's advocate slightly, I would say you've got to look at the run of games that they've had over the last few weeks. Liverpool was an incredible performance, one of the standout performances of the season. But they played Crystal Palace when they still had Roy Hodgson in the kind of last few weeks of Hodgson's reign. West Ham, Burnley, Sheffield United and Newcastle, who were terrible in that game at the Emirates. And look, you can only beat what's in front of you, and they beat those teams handsomely. But it's not the hardest standard of opposition, those teams. They also lost to Porto pretty poorly in that run of games. So, as I say, playing devil's advocate, they're in incredible form, but they need to go and do it against Manchester City in a few weeks.
Yeah, you carry on being a devil. So, Gail, so the question then, you mentioned the City game there. They've got 11 games left. Talk us through the key moments that they will face.
Hard man to please, that Joe, isn't he? I think what you also have to understand is the hurt of last year. This time last year, when many people thought they could push on for the title, and the wheels came off, didn't they? And they're so determined as a group to put that right. Look, we know they've got Brentford at home this weekend, and then it's the Porto game, which they'll desperately be hoping to overturn that deficit. The City game is the one really that stands out above all, doesn't it? Depending, of course, what happens this weekend when City play Liverpool. But they've still got the likes of Villa, Tottenham, Manchester United. That Chelsea game to be rearranged, and at the moment it is Everton on the final game of the season. They'd be the ones that you'd look at, particularly maybe Everton, if it does go to the final day and they're fighting for their lives. It's going to be an interesting few weeks, isn't it? If they can keep that momentum up, who knows? It could be the first time since that Invincibles team for them to win the title. And I wonder as well if having a three-way tie is better for them than the two-way tie that they were finding last year.
Yeah, going under the radar. Not when you score that number of goals on Monday Night Football, you're not. That Chelsea game, by the way, is TBC because Chelsea still in the Cup, playing Leicester instead of Arsenal on that weekend. Right, you've looked at the fixtures. Where will this be won and lost?
Obviously, the City game, as we keep saying, that jumps out. But April looks like it's going to be a tough month for Arsenal. I've just kind of been saying they've not had the hardest standard of opposition. But in April, they've got Brighton, Aston Villa, Wolves and Tottenham. If they take 12 points from that run of fixtures, then you're thinking, OK, yeah, maybe they could genuinely do that. They could also have a Champions League home and away quarter-final tie in April as well. So April could be huge for them. I think that and the City game will be where it's won and lost for Arsenal.
It just gets very busy around that time, doesn't it? Not only do the fixtures look quite tough, but there's just so many of them. So I come back to the idea that it is an endurance race and it's about not slipping up, and especially for the fact that there's two other teams in this competition as well, trying to win this title, trying also to not slip up. It's about finding that consistency and that rhythm, which is so hard to do. But one of these three teams is going to find it and they're going to benefit from it. But I don't actually look at the really tough fixtures. I know they jump out to you on paper. I just look at every single fixture equally and say, you just have to get a result. You just have to get a result. At a certain point, it won't be about how well they're playing. It's about the result.